Dead by Daylight is not a game. There are no clear win conditions or goals. And I do mean this literally, these are not defined in game terms. Dead by Daylight is a system of mechanics that lets players express their own goals and values, which leads to a lot of conflict, such as how DBD meta discussion is largely about cultural clashes. The community generally agrees that if half the survivors escape and half are sacrificed, it's a draw. If more escape, the killers lose, and if less escape, the killers win. However, there are a few very important notes. One is that the killer's MMR changes map onto this cultural agreement. However, MMR is nothing more than an outcome-based sorting mechanism. Seeing a higher MMR as a goal is just another arbitrary value. Another is that survivors are all individuals that can escape or be sacrificed independent of one another. As such, some survivors see it as I win or I lose, instead of other survivors seeing it as we win or we lose. And there's a lot of entitlement that players have based on whichever perspective they have. But in DBD, not everybody plays relative to winning or losing his goals. Some people play relative to fun. Fun, however, can look very different to very different people. For some, it might be, bullying the killer or looping for a long time, and for others, it might be like some power fantasy of deciding, which survivors live or die. More so, people that play for fun tend to have the same divide of people that play for their own fun versus people that play for fun more inclusively, considering like their entire team, or even the enemy team, or even just the entire community as a whole. I've made videos about these cultural values before, I've touched on the concept of entitlement before. That's to say, to be upset when others have wants or do actions that don't align with your wants or values is valid, but to say they should or shouldn't, or to belittle or invalidate their wants or actions is generally derived from entitlement. The actions of others create impact for us to react to, and though we feel how we feel, our reactions to it are on us. So related to that is a lack of accountability. So how many times have you heard survivors say that they need a rat to win, or they have to do a deft, or they have to play like this or that, or kills say they have to tunnel because of, whatever game state, because of how many gens are left, or whatever the situation is. Those individuals are deflecting from their own autonomy. To rat or to tunnel to achieve your goals relative to whatever your goals might be are choices that are made. Simply because in order to achieve your goal, you feel like you must do that strategy does not mean it is the fault of Dead by Daylight, it's not the fault of behavior, the balance, it's not the fault of other players. So basically, a player may decide escaping is winning and thus rat, or tunnel if it increases overall kills, and another may consider such strategies wrong and instead prioritize personal or shared experiences. These are all valid cultures, optimizing for different metrics that interpret different signals as success or goals. But these different cultures may clash when players treat their preferences as rules that other people should follow. When it comes down to it, Dead by Daylight isn't a game, but it's just a space for these cultures and these values to express themselves.